Hi, I'm Connor Fowler.
And I'm Matt Smith.
Happy New Year and welcome to Apocalypse Duds. Today is an auspicious one indeed. We welcome honorary Texan, one of the best dressed people I follow on the internet, and Apocalypse Duds' first intercontinental guest, Philip Gregard.
Hey, how are you guys doing? A lot of pressure.
Nah.
The proof is in the pudding. You already have the fucking fits on your Instagram.
Yeah.
That is true.
This is true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? People can investigate and they know that I'm telling the truth.
Yeah. How's everything going today, Philip?
Going very well.
Nice.
Well. Just cracked up a cold one, so I'm ready.
Ooh, all right. I've got my Miller High Life in waiting also, so I'm there with you. Connor is not, but
I'm drinking tea.
You got your tea.
Soda water. I've got two different cannabis delivery devices, so I am good to go.
We're all hydrating in our own way.
That's good. Because I take this is not the PG-13 rated show, right?
No, definitely not. Definitely.
It's
not.
Explicit.
Right.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah, there might be a parental warning somewhere in the future. I'm not quite sure. I would hope so, but yeah, we're full-grown adults over here.
Yeah, good.
So Philip, where are you from, and where do you live now?
So I'm from a town south of Sweden called Helsingborg, and I'm currently living just right outside in a little village called Rydebäck, just by the ocean. It's very very down to earth. A lot of people commute from here to larger cities such as Lund and Malmö.
Okay.
Because most of the work in central Sweden is located to these two bigger cities. So we have our own train station and freeway just right outside the door pretty much. So a lot of people who work in these bigger cities live here. So it's a very tight knit community. School and local restaurants and stuff. So it's very calm. Very nice place to live, actually.
That's awesome. I really have zero clue, like the geographical size of Sweden. So like I live in Georgia, and Georgia is like 6
and not that Georgia, the other.
Yeah, Georgia, the U.S. state Georgia, and so like I'm currently an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending, like 75 to 100 75 to 90 or so miles from like Atlanta, a major city. And so like I couldn't imagine commuting this far, but Georgia's also massive, as are most or a lot of US states. But like how, like, just as a general question, like how big is Sweden as a country if you're you and other people are living in these smaller places but commuting to the bigger cities?
Yeah. Typically, if you live in a smaller village in Sweden, you typically have somewhere between 30 to 60 minutes commute way to your work. Yeah.
Okay, so not bad at all. Like,
no,
considering.
No.
Yeah.
Because it is small, right? I mean, Western Europe is small compared to America, at least in portion, right? So I guess it's a little bit like a suburb or like an exurb.
Exactly.
Sort of like living on Staten Island.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how big is Staten Island. I mean, how big is the population in Staten Island?
I mean, I would say like decently sized, just because there's so many people that live in New York City or the boroughs themselves.
It's 500,000 people.
Okay.
Approximately 500,000 people, which is like about the same population as Baltimore has now, which is 600,000 people. And Baltimore used to be a big city, like one of the fifth biggest cities in America, and now it's like very depopulated.
Yeah. If you talk about scale, Sweden have about 10 million citizens total.
Okay.
And the largest city is Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, which has about 1 million ish, approximately. And then you have like the two other major cities in Sweden, which is Gothenburg, which is on the central west side of Sweden, and then you have Malmö, which is in the south of Sweden. Malmö has about somewhere between like 300 to 500,000 people living in Malmö. Where I'm from, Helsingborg, which is one of the 10 most biggest cities in Sweden. We have about 100,000, 200,000 living here.
Okay.
So it's it's not that big in comparison to where you guys are from, but percentage wise, it's a large Swedish city.
Totally.
Well, and of course, it's all relative, and it's not all about size, right? Like it's very, what I think about some of the time is just like the newness of America, like the relative newness of America compared to almost everywhere else in the world. And it's not new, right? Like people were living here, but I think it's understood. So I was going to ask you how old you are, which would give us a little bit of context to your dressing and to your relationship with the scene, like with the clothing scene.
Yeah, sure. I'm 36 years young.
Nice. Yeah. So we're all about the same age.
And I usually joke with my little friends that I'm starting to get closer to my middle age.
Right.
People always told me I act a bit older than I perhaps am. So I mean, I'm just glad I'm becoming a bit older.
You're getting into your real self.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really looking forward until I turn 60 or 70 years old, when I finally get to have my physical age being the same as my mental age.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I turned 39 in November, and like I am what I thought was old when I was 16. And that's kind of hilarious in a way, but I'm also like, oh, like this shit doesn't actually mean anything. I'm just, like you, I was always told that I acted older than I was, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, I'm catching up at this point.
But isn't it funny? I've always experienced this, and it seems that our parents and our grandparents, when they were at the same age as us, they seem a lot older than we.
Oh, totally.
Oh my God.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, and they owned houses and stuff, and they had kids, and I mean, you have kids, so like whatever. But even still, it's just a different. Times were different back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They looked older too. Like they started to bald at like age 25, and they looked incredibly a lot older than we do. Also.
Yeah.
Lucky us, though, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So to get into the clothing, I'm sorry. To get into the clothing portion of the show, what we were first going to have you do is run down your outfit for us. You can go from the top to the bottom or reverse, or whatever order you feel like, and as much detail as you feel like surrendering.
Oh, for sure. Let's go bottom to top. I'm wearing a pair of hush puppies with a pair of navy over the cuff socks. I have a reproduction of a pair of World War II denim jeans from Bronson. So they're high waisted and a straight cut. I have a Ranger belt on.
Hell yeah!
From a local, I believe it's from my local tailor actually. Also, I have my Bryceland's Western denim shirt on, and pretty casual. That's what I mostly typical wear when I'm just at home at my own leisure.
Yeah,
Denim on denim with a Ranger belt.
that sounds like a very comfortable, just lounging around, talking to two idiots on the internet outfit.
Exactly.
Yeah, talking to two strangers late at night.
Yeah. So Philip, how did you get into clothing just in general, and what kind of evolution have you had?
What one of the first clothing memories I had, or I rather say that I have, is I remember I went to when I went to high school. We were supposed to go a couple of days to Stockholm to visit a couple of companies and have a few lectures and stuff. And I remember that I went to a local shop and bought myself a gray, I think it was dark gray suit. And I bought it and I had them tailor it, and I was the only one wearing his suit during those couple of days that we were in Stockholm. And I've always been, very interested in tailoring specifically. But I've always felt, I don't know how much you know about Sweden in general, but Sweden is a very casual country. We typically
Interesting.
we
I
typically don't go.
wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same
yeah,
here.
yeah.
I would have thought
Typically,
like a little more elegant, I guess, somewhat casual. Anyway, go on. We have this later in the questions.
oh yeah, sure, sure. I was very ridiculed because of this, and they just put a pretty large stamp on my heart in the sense that I didn't really dare to dress like this for a couple of years. But I've always been interested in dressing up, and I've always been interested in dressing up if the occasion demanded to. Normally, you don't typically do that in Sweden. It's very seldom that you typically dress up. You more normally try to dress down or dress like everybody else.
Right.
And that's I believe that's when my fascination of clothing in general and menswear started. It was around there in high school age.
Okay.
Um,
So like
Tried
16,
to
17-ish?
yeah, exactly. Try to get my hands on fashion magazines that typically talked about male fashion. I tried to order stuff from the internet like uh, books, gentleman books, dandy books.
But of
Try to
course,
read. Yeah, exactly. Try to read as much as I possibly could because it wasn't easily accessible to me coming from a pretty small town and in the sense of as Europe as a whole. I mean, Helsingborg was 200,000 people. I mean, that's not a lot. So we didn't typically have a lot of male fashion where I lived. It was typically H&M and the usual suspects, so to speak.
Right, right.
Yeah, I had to venture outside of my own comfort to find this information and find this inspiration. Um,
you really had to seek it out.
yeah, exactly. You had to because it wasn't easy accessible.
That was
Um,
go on.
yeah, no. I was pretty much finished because the things I was interested in, you couldn't find that at H&M. It was
Mm-mm.
all short jackets and very tight fitting, and I was a lot heavier when I was younger, so typically that didn't fit me too well. So I always wanted to have a bit more volume in my clothing because I felt more secure when I had a little bit more volume.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally. It's also interesting because in my experience, like H&M, that I guess the first H&M that I ever saw in the States was like '07 or something. I think they'd been in like New York for a while, but they didn't
Yeah,
really like hit the States as a massive thing until like I was well past where you were at 16, 17, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I was gonna say, I think it's interesting. I'm pretty sure this is the only show that like come up at all, and I
Right.
think that it is really relevant. And I think that like if you are a person who wears tailored clothing, like you are going to stand out, and a lot of people assume, and maybe correctly assume, that you want to stand out, and so you're sort of doing it as an attention-seeking behavior. Um, and I think that it's not really well. I mean, other than like making fun of people wearing fedoras, you know, the like Madame sort of thing, like neckbeard kind of Redditor. Um, it's not really so black and white as that. Like people have definitely given me shit for the way I dress. Of course, I don't dress extremely well, but like, you know, I think people are like, they're weirdly intimidated. They like want you to feel shitty about yourself. So odd, definitely. Uncharted territory.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And just for the sake of the argument, oftentimes when I'm out and about and I wear a beret, I mean, a lot of people come up to me and say bonjour to me, like you know, it's there's always something, and you also have to know the nuance in Sweden is that we have it's a social law called the law of Jant, and the law of Jant means that you shouldn't, you shouldn't stand out. You should be just like everybody else. You
How
shouldn't
is
talk
that
about
spelled? J.
Jante.
Okay, interesting.
Jante. Yeah.
Interesting. Go on.
Yeah, for sure. And so in Sweden, typically you shouldn't stand out, and that also, comes to clothing. You shouldn't, look like you're standing out. You shouldn't speak like you shouldn't speak about how much you earn. You shouldn't speak about how big your house is. You shouldn't speak about what type of cars you own. And in Sweden, typically, we don't have big houses. We don't have these Hollywood mansions like you have in the U.S. Typically, very very modest here, and that's because you just you shouldn't stand out. And I believe the Japanese people also has a saying that a nail that stands out should be hammered down. I think, and yeah.
Right. To every nail, every problem to a hammer is a nail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
So I was going to ask how you plan your outfits. It's something that it's not like it consumes me, but I mean, I do have like a process, even if it doesn't look like it.
Yeah. I mean, I love planning what to wear. Oftentimes I might plan something like months ahead, but what I'm a big fan of is dressing for the occasion. So if I'm going to work, I won't choose the full denim outfit. I will choose, I typically wear I'm one of the few guys at the office that wears tailoring. I like to wear tailoring. And oftentimes when I can't wear tailoring, it's when I go to the office. And typically office days I tend to, wear tailoring. And now the last few years, especially now after the pandemic, I've been able to actually dress the tailoring down, like having Western shirts instead of like a button down and ties, for example. So I mean, most of the times it's dressing for the occasion. Like, I won't wear full suit when I'm out playing with the kids. I'll probably wear like World War II chinos with something that is easily can be easily mended and cleaned. So I'm very much for dressing for the occasion. But the thing about tailoring is that, well, a navy suit it's essentially a navy suit. But the thing with us that kind of have more knowledge about tailoring, we can find nuances in how to portray a navy suit. Like we we talk about the broadness of the lapels, and we talk about how is the gorge formed, and how long is the jacket, and stuff like that. If you tell a regular normie to look at two navy suits, and they probably can figure out a couple of details that might be different between these two outfits. But essentially, I like to dress for myself, and I like to dress for the occasion.
Yeah, we've kind of noticed, and one reason we wanted to have you on the show was because you do have like what seems like a very diverse interest in clothing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't, you saw tailoring with a Western shirt, or like the picture we posted on Instagram yesterday. Like that one was really dope, just because it's like it's tailored, but it's not stuffy. And
Exactly.
yeah.
And the stuff I like to have longevity with my clothes. Not essentially like I kind of hate the notion that people say, well, you should buy one suit and wear for the rest of your life. No, that's not me. I
Right.
like stuff. I like stuff that becomes better with wear.
Totally.
A heavy denim shirt, like it's fucking excruciating the first couple of months wearing like a heavy denim. I mean, it's the worst experience in your life. I mean, you have to work hard for it, but after a couple of months, it gets soft and it kind of mends to your body, and you get these rivets, and you get these, it just ages beautifully. And I like to wear stuff until it barely holds on, and my wife tells me like you just have to throw that out and buy something new. I kind of like that.
Right.
Then it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's your most comfortable shit, because you've worn it into the ground.
I hate babying stuff. I think when people put in effort into manufacturing, high quality clothes, you should wear it. You should wear it as you live. I mean, you should just go raw dog with it. I don't care if I get ketchup stains on my tailored jackets. It's the way of life.
That's exactly it, man. Like I have always had the mentality, like since I started caring about nice clothes, that clothes are meant to be worn. And if it can't hold up to just like everyday life, like if I have to take special care of something, I'm not into it. Because that's not life.
Maybe it's just special then. I baby my shit not to an obnoxious degree, but I do baby my shit because I don't want to have to buy another one.
Yeah, like another thing I dig about your vibe, Philip, is that like your jackets have wrinkles where they should at the at where your arm bends or whatever. Like the people
on the thighs, it's really like it's a mark of sitting, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
like
this.
Sit.
It just means you wear your shit. I think that's like
we're not in the Great Depression anymore. We don't have to have one thing that nice. Maybe a tuxedo, maybe.
Yeah.
But everything else, like even like I wear my tailored clothing on the rare occasion these days that I wear tailored clothing. I wear it like a work jacket. Like I stuff stuff in my pockets. Like I've always got, I've got shit going on. I wear a wallet. Like I'm not trying to be pressed and pristine all the time, because that's like an illusion.
Yeah. I remember when I got my first made-to-measure suit, and I went and picked it up, and the tailor told me that just let the thread that holds the pockets together. Like he told me, just leave it be because you're not supposed to use the pockets.
What?
Because otherwise the pockets will sag and it will look, atrocious. And now I love those details. I love when people have these, baggy pockets because they use it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's very personal, and I mean, it's just I love it. I love to see well worn shit.
Same here. Same here. But I think it was or is Luciano Barbera that's like gone on record saying that like when you get a nice suit made for yourself, you should go home and wear it to bed. And like I've never gone that far, but I've not gone totally like off the mark with that before. Like, sometimes you want things to be comfortable, and if you're trying to like be super staunch and not use the pockets, like what are they there for? If the pockets shouldn't be used, don't put them on it.
I thought that the idea of a decorative pocket was always very funny. Like,
yeah. I mean,
I guess that and of course it's not decorative, right? There isn't okay, so there are decorative pockets, but the pockets that we're talking about are actually pockets, but they are sewn shut.
Yeah, they're just basted shut. So that's so funny.
And personally, I just hate to have like stuff in my, trouser pockets or pants pockets. So I usually, typically
because it fucks up the line.
Yeah, and you can't sit down, and I mean, jeans nowadays is not constructed to have these huge ass phones that we have now.
Right.
Either. So I mean, it's just uncomfortable, and it's perfect to have like a tailor jacket. You just put your shit in. I mean,
totally,
it's perfect. Yeah.
I worked with a dude once that said a navy blazer was like a dude's purse, and I was like, that. Like, I don't want to gender shit, but that kind of makes sense. Like, I can throw everything in the pockets of my jacket and not worry about it. And yeah.
Yeah. So that that's why I like, I like tweed. I like cloths with a bit of oomph to it.
Hardier stuff.
Exactly. It would be better with age. I don't like these, cashmere blends and these high thread counts. No, fuck that. I want, rugged stuff. They get better with age.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't want to like sit down in my car and like destroy the thing. I mean, I do like linen, but I probably would take off the linen jacket before sitting down. I don't want it to be that wrinkled.
Oh yeah. I don't care about that. I just fucking wear it,
Good call.
No. So you have a million hats. Where do you keep them all? How do you store them? Do you care for them in some way?
I am the worst when it comes to that.
I guess this is a bad question to follow the other question up.
Yeah, Philip, you and I are on team wear it to death. Connor is on team baby it right now. So that's the dichotomy we've got going in.
I mean, I have these, these circular bags, or where you're supposed to have your hat upside down. And typically, I try to have that. I probably have my hats in those carriages for about 50 to 60% of the time, but mostly they're just on my desk or hanging somewhere, or the kids is playing with it. I mean, my absolute favorite hat is my Stetson Open Road. That's the one I use absolutely the most, and it's really askew, and it's dirty, and dirty fingers for my kids, and I mean but I love it. I mean it's well worn in now, and then when it comes to because this was probably my most expensive hat purchase ever, and in the beginning I kind of babied it, even though I don't like it, because I mean I have huge respect for stuff that costs money, because I mean it takes a while for me to actually earn that money, and to actually be able to spend it, because I have a family, so I can't do whatever I want with my money.
Right.
I
Yeah.
have a family to take care of, And you know, in the beginning, I was very, you know, very cautious with it. And I remember that my son wanted to play with it, and I was feeling a little bit anxious. But then I thought, what? Why the hell not? Why shouldn't he, you know, run around and pretend that he's a cowboy? You know, I do it every day. I pretend I'm a cowboy.
Right, right.
Yeah. So here you go. Have fun. You know, I mean, he ripped out the lining, but I mean, it was an easy fix. I mean, I'm decently capable of handling it, threading the needle. So I mean, I took care of it. So I mean, it was all good, and it becomes very personal too. I mean, I hate perfect stuff. I hate
So
it.
you can sew?
Yeah, yeah. I was very good when I was younger. Typically, when you go to school in Sweden, you either have to choose between sewing or doing something with wood, and I've always been very interested in sewing, so I did that for many years. So I'm pretty capable with needle and a thread and even a sewing machine. So yeah,
Oh hell yeah!
I do a lot of stuff by myself.
Do you do
Well,
your own
fixes and
alterations and things mostly, or?
minor alterations.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, I'm not expecting
Yeah.
you to like reconstruct a shoulder or anything. But
Yeah, no.
no,
But
that's
I mean,
awesome, man.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, where?
It's pretty cool actually. Some, you know, minor alterations are pretty simple. I mean, it's, you know, you're just a YouTube video away to know how to do it. So
Right. Yeah, except for me that for whatever reason sewing and my brain do not compute at all.
oh yeah,
So like even the needle and thread, I can barely do anything with it. But I respect people so much that can because I cannot at all.
yeah.
Where did the honorary Texan thing come from? We noticed that on your Instagram profile.
Oh yeah. I'm in this. I don't know if you know. You probably know who Ethan Newton is.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
has
totally.
yeah. He has his own Discord. So if you're a Patreon to him, you're able to spend time in his Discord. So we're a lot of people there discussing clothes and tailoring and everything in between. And I remember that one Texan actually told me that, "Whoa, you look like a Texan." I DM'd him and asked me, "Oh, do you think I can call myself an honorary Texan?" He said, "Oh, of course, you're an honorary Texan." So
That's
cool.
so good, man. So good. I mean the Stetson Open Road is also so. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, especially the way that you tend to treat it, which is how it should be treated. And yeah, man, that's there's probably a lot of dudes that don't even know what a Discord is in Texas that would see you and be like, "That's my dude right there."
But I mean, I think one of our first encounters, I think that you actually asked me, where in Texas do you live? I said, no, I don't live in Texas. I live in Sweden. You're not the first one either. I mean, a lot of people. So where in Texas do you live? So I don't live in Texas.
Yeah.
I just like to dress like a cowboy. And I think that yesterday I became a full-fledged member of the cowboy community because I finally got myself a pair of cowboy boots. Actually.
Oh,
So, nice.
That is very exciting. That is
hell
very
yeah.
exciting. Yeah. It is extremely hard to find like cowboy boots in Europe because
I can imagine. Yeah, and shipping at this point.
Exactly, it's not a heritage, and I didn't want to spend like an absurd amount of money to purchase a pair of made in U.S. Cowboy boots and have them shipped here for an enormous sum of money. So I just bide my time and waited and won an auction and for a pair of vintage cowboy boots. So I'm happy. My wife is not so happy. My kids thought they were extremely cool. They've already showed their friends that I have cowboy boots. That is
Oh, that's awesome.
that is an honorary badge that I think they're
right. My dad is an honorary Texan.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe this means that your kids are actually going to be into this kind of stuff too, and you can be like, oh yeah, this is my pride and joy.
Yeah, my oldest son, when he saw them for the first time, he was like, "Oh, these will go perfect with your hat." And I was like, "Yeah, exactly."
So, Philip, this is kind of a question that we dive into with every guest, but like, what are, if any, kind of outside influences that you've had on kind of your love of clothing and your just general style and mindset?
I think a lot of, I mean, when I was younger, I was very heavily into like cinema, movies.
Okay.
And it often, for most people, it starts off with, well, yeah, what's new today and what's good movies today. But when you watch everything that's released within like 5 years, you start to, look back and look at old movies. So a lot of influence comes from like 40s, 50s, and 60s. Cary Grant and the usual suspects. But it's not so much like, they dressed extremely well, but when you boil it down and look at what they wore at that time, they had stuff made for them. Fashion wasn't like a thing in the 40s or 50s.
Right.
To some amount, but mostly, people went to the tailor, and what the tailor did was they made stuff that was supposed to make you look better. Like it didn't matter if the fashion didn't decide if it was supposed to be like a slim leg, trouser or a wide leg trouser. The garments was made for those people and how they looked and how they lived. So that's always been my inspiration. Like not so much looking at what I like to wear and so much what fashion or the industry says you should do. I like to wear stuff that enhances what I like to showcase.
For sure.
I like I like a little bit more padding with my jackets. I don't like a natural shoulder, for example, because in essence, I think that tailoring should showcase the male body. So broad shoulders and a little bit of nipped waist perhaps, and straight leg trousers. To look more manly, look more masculine.
Right.
So yeah, movies, cinemas, and also some authors also more of that mindset and how they thought. But the clothing wise, well, it's a visual part of it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a beautiful answer. Just because it's like it comes from a spot of like initial interest, and then it kind of explodes into influencing how you dress on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, sure.
Were you active in like quote menswear in the 2010s? I think that's sort of where it started for a lot of people our age. Did you have a blog? Were you a style forum member?
Very funny question. Actually, that's when my interest in clothing, came back, and it was a lot of had to do with Tumblr. I had a Tumblr account.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah,
where I reposted, reposted a lot of mostly J. Crew fits and fits of Nick Wusher and Tom Brown. And
yep.
Like a preppy, that was my preppy face, and that's how I found the Armory and later on Easton Newton and
yeah. It seems like that was a particular time period for people of a certain age that like you all of a sudden were like, oh, other people also like this shit. Like, I'm not the only one that is into this stuff.
I wasn't the only one that got made fun of for wearing a suit. Not like I've been made fun of for wearing a suit a lot of times. But
right, exactly.
maybe
like,
I have been. I don't know.
I don't know. It was such a nice, like, interesting time period to watch things like blow up in a weird way. Not that it was like super mainstream, but you know, if you were into the shit, you knew about it.
Well, it became pretty mainstream. Like, I remember being made fun of by my family for rolling my chino legs, right?
Yeah.
And then the New York Times wrote this piece about everybody cuffing their chinos.
Right.
It was like vindicated at last, you know.
Colorful rolled up chinos with a pair of boat shoes, right? Was that your gig too?
I have actually I'm from Annapolis. I'm from Annapolis, Maryland, which is like the boat place. It's where the Naval Academy is. And I have never owned a pair of boat shoes. I maybe should. I'm a loafer person. But it's not like I have like 15 pairs of loafers. Like, I have a few.
Yeah.
I think I was wearing time like a lot of people were. I had like some cap toe Oxfords that I was wearing. Long wings, of course. Like, I have some that I got on eBay that I like a lot.
Yeah, I also never owned boat shoes, thankfully, but that's mostly because I'm from the South, and every asshole that I remember seeing, you know, post high school was wearing boat shoes. So
yeah, it's really like it's really like an identifier. There's like a Sperry store in downtown Annapolis. My cousin lives in Rome, and he came back one time to visit, and he was like, I gotta go to the fucking Sperry store. Colin, if you're listening, this is you. I gotta go to the fucking Sperry store. And I was blown away because he bought like 3 pairs of Sperry's. I was like, this guy like is loaded. He bought 3 pairs of Sperry's, you know, not for himself, to give to people in Europe, to give to his like UN friends. But even still, the boat shoe in America has a distinct connotation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What like I know there have been some Swedish higher end tailored, whatever, adjacent kind of brands and things that have popped up over the years. Like, to me, they've always seemed kind of like the Italian casualness with like a little bit of British sensibility, which maybe goes back to like your lack of padding in shoulders. But like, what's the scene like in Sweden?
I mean, we you can almost say we have 2 types of scenes in Sweden. We have one scene that is very ear to the ground when it comes to like the menswear that we're all into,
right?
And then there's those type of people they're into Drakes and Bryce Lanes and Italian tailoring and stuff. But if you look at Swedish as a whole, I mean, you mentioned both Italy and England or Britain. One country and one tailoring house that people always tend to forget is the French house.
Okay.
And typically Swedes, when it comes to like their sensibility in tailoring, it's a lot more akin to how the French people do.
Gotcha.
Like,
okay.
So Swedish people typically, like to have a gradual suppression of the waist of the jacket, and you have a very distinct like skirt flare too, because the suppression of the waist like creates this skirt flare.
Right.
And also, the narrow tuxel leg too, and that's easily forgotten. And I mean, last couple of months or to the last year, I've been liking French tailoring a lot, and especially like I don't know if you heard or know about husbands. husbands and parents.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Exquisite tailoring, like not for me. I mean, it's perfect for people who are, I mean, not as heavy set as I am, perhaps, but a lot thinner and more athletic. It looks extremely well on those people. So yeah, the French house is more akin to what people in Sweden dress like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tends to make sense, and I definitely like that. As stupid amount of knowledge as I've cared about in tailoring over the years, like I always kind of forget French makers.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I think about our niece, and that's about it. But I know they're like, it's got a unique style to itself, apart from Italian and British shit.
Typically, for Sweden also is very like it's very nature-based colors too. Like you have often grays and taupe and
earth tone type.
Brown. Yeah, exactly. As I said in the beginning of the talk, is that you shouldn't stand out. So there's very earthy tones that goes well with how the nature looks here. It's very understated. There's not a lot of color in the clothing, at least here. Yeah, you don't see a lot of people walking around in hype beast.
That's cool.
Type of stuff,
Yeah. I'm a little envious, if I'm being honest. Not that like there's not some of that stuff that I can get down with, but like I'm not a color person. I like earth tones. I like blues. I like stuff that, like you said, is understated, and it's like, you're literally wearing a rainbow. I can't get down with this. And then massive chunky white sneakers. That's the vibe.
Exactly. But if that's you,
oh yeah, totally. I'm not saying that I don't support you if that's what you want to look like. It just sometimes it makes me face palm in a way.
In the end, it's just clothes. Who gives a shit? I mean,
exactly.
As long as you put in effort in how you want to portray yourself, I mean, just go for it. Have fun.
Because like half of the people on Earth don't give a fuck. At least half of the people on Earth don't give a fuck about what they're wearing. So I think that's a good like soundbite for the show. Like if you put any effort at all into what you're wearing, like you get a pat on the back.
Yeah, it's like the clothing version of I don't agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend you to the death. Your right to say it. Like, yeah, you do you, man. As long as like you're cool, as long as you're putting in some effort.
I will never understand people who don't put in any type of effort into how they want to portray themselves. I mean, it's the most important thing that you can do every morning is to put on something that says that this is me. And if you don't put in effort into how you want to portray yourself and how you want people to see who you are, I mean, why put effort into anything? Why not go to why not just eat, toast and butter every day? Why do you care about what you put into your body if you can't care about how you want to conduct yourself and how you want to present yourself? So why care in any facet or form in your life at all? But I mean that's just a very hot take from me. So I mean,
oh, dude, I can get down with it. That's for sure.
My brother just got like a pretty prestigious internship. Shout out Ian, and he's like trying to find clothes, right? And I told him today, like, you have the opportunity to completely invent yourself if you want to with this job. And he like is not like that. He is not that kind of person. And he was like, oh, I just want to like, look like me. But that's not the point. And that's like the beauty of clothes is that you can wear them and look like whoever the fuck you want. You can be whoever you want to be. You can be interpreted however you want to be interpreted to an extent anyway. Like I acknowledge my privilege and other things about me, right, that allow me to kind of do whatever I want. But especially clothing, like it's creative expression, and it's like it's a way to communicate. It's a nonverbal way to communicate, and I think it's very important.
Yeah, and if you want to be the person, if you want to be like a person who always wears like a white Oxford shirt with a navy blazer, then go be that guy.
Right.
I mean, if it's how you want to look and how you want to present yourself, go for it. But I mean, put some effort into it at least.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, well, this is.
No, go on.
Oh, I was going to say this is reminding me of how popular Joseph A. Bank is in the States, and
my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know about that, Philip?
What?
Joseph
the store
Banks?
Yeah, Joseph Banks. It's like a buy 3 get 1, get 4 free suiting
literally
or whatever.
Literally buy 3 get 1 free. Not a joke.
Oh yeah. No, never heard of it actually. So.
You're a very, very lucky. It's essentially the old man. It's like the old man H&M. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
That kind of quality. So.
Sounds awful.
Oh, it's.
Yeah, no. I got a khaki when I was like, I had this congressional internship, and so I wanted to be suited all the time, and it was like, go to Joseph A. Banks, like that's the place to go. And I was like 17. So I got the khaki suit. I don't think that I ever wore it. They sold me on a 40 and I was like probably a 36. So, that's the kind of place that it is.
Yeah.
Well, we can wrap the clothing part if you like. I have a curiosity of my own, really, about what your experience, and you can be as general as you want about this, but like, you live in Sweden, which is arguably the best social democracy on earth. You work in healthcare, and so what is it like to not be worried about your health, really? Like, if you get sick, you're not going to go bankrupt.
Exactly. And typically when people rank the happiest people on earth, I mean, often all the Scandinavian countries are often in the top 10. And I mean, if you don't have to worry about if you can afford to have an operation, or have to worry that you can afford to have your medication for diabetes, I mean, that puts an insane amount of quality into your life. You don't have to go around,
of course,
and worry about that. And if you put up stuff because of monetary problems, well, guess what? It's going to be worse. You're going to get other complications, and in the end, for society as a whole, if you don't have easy access to healthcare and easy access to education, it'll be a lot more expensive in the long run. Totally, because yeah, it is quite satisfying to live like we do, because I mean, it's pretty normal to don't have to worry about these type of issues. And yeah, I've had a lot of talks with American friends of mine. It's quite baffling how a country can put so much money into war efforts, but don't have an inkling in helping out their fellow people at all.
Their own citizens. Yeah. I mean, this is what I was talking with Matt about this. Like, should we discuss this? Should we ask this question? Whatever. I was thinking it's a little bit like to New York with like a born New Yorker. Because they can just walk around and go to places seemingly like with an internal GPS, which of course they have because they have lived there forever, but they don't quite realize how special and awesome it is, you know? So I'm just curious, like, what it's like. I mean, what it is like to live in a place like that. And by golly, it was the answer that I predicted. So we really envy you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's hard to relate to. I mean, it's so easily accessible for us to seek healthcare and get medicine and have an education. And that's how it is in most countries in Europe, actually.
Right.
It is very easy to get healthcare, and it is very easy to get an education. And not to have to worry about that is, I mean, it's incredible.
You would be hard pressed, I think. So where I grew up, Anne Arundel County is like one of the wealthiest counties in the country because of its proximity to DC. So everyone there is like super rich, and the public schools are actually decent. But even so, you would be hard pressed, I think, to find a public school that would teach you how to sew in America. That wasn't like a trade school, and I don't think that there are trade schools that exist for sewing anymore, because it's all been moved abroad.
Yeah, we also have. You probably have home ed too. Like you get taught how to make dinner and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a comprehensive thing, more so than like a specialized thing.
It was very weak. I mean, like the sex education that we receive, and like for example, you might not know this, like they don't ever talk to you in public school about taxes. They don't ever discuss it. It's not part of the curriculum. It never comes up. So you enter the workforce. If you're lucky, you enter the workforce, and you have no idea what you are paying or why you are paying it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's also, you know, I mean, we have those issues too, and here in Sweden too. Like people come out and start to work, and they do not fully grasp how it is to be, you know, by yourself and independent in the society. But I mean, we do get, you know, taught how taxes work and what it's used to and stuff like that. But yeah. I mean, I think that's the world as a whole, because I believe that people try to keep some stuff, you know, away from you. So you just have to learn it the hard way. I mean, I you know, I didn't get taught how insurances worked when I went to school. So that was also a huge awakening when I had to live myself. So what you need insurance for what? I mean, I have my own place, so yeah. So yeah, I think that's part of a whole problem for the whole West as a whole, I think.
Surely. Well, on that note, we can wrap this up. I know it is getting kind of late for you, so Matt, if you want to take us out.
Yeah, Philip, dude, thank you for coming on, and this has been a hell of a fun discussion. And, you know, I'm glad that we're on the right side of this babying your clothes thing, and Connor's on the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
But we generally like to give, you know, our guests a chance to shout out whatever they want to shout out. So go for it.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It is a huge honor that you wanted me here. And so,
no, the pleasure is ours.
Oh.
Look at the fucking outfits.
Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, I'd like to shout out the Style and Direction Patreon and in essence the Discord too. So that's what I want to shout out. So again, thank you very much for this opportunity. It has been a blast, and I hope that I delivered, and I hope who listens understand, and that it wasn't too difficult to understand what I was trying to say. So
nah, man,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We really, like, honestly just want to talk to people that like clothes, and that's kind of the basis for everyone, you know, everyone that we. And yeah, this was hella fun and a very enjoyable discussion.
Yeah, thank you so
And where can we find your amazing outfits, Philip?
much. You can find it on Instagram at Philip Gregard. So,
And that's Philip with one L.
Exactly.
Yeah, see, I got you. I can be the hype man.
Yeah, Connor is the best hype man.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I just am excited about stuff, you know. I thought this was fucking awesome. Like I remember seeing your posts and being like, Jesus, like that guy knows what the fuck he's doing, you know?
Thank you.
So with that, we thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure. And have a good night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm Matt Smith at Rebels Rogues.
And I'm Connor Fowler at Connor Fowler.
If someone wants to email us, it's apocalypseduds@gmail.com. We're still waiting for that cherry to be popped. But,
somebody send the email. Somebody do it.
Yeah,
so my girlfriend doesn't do it.
Send us an emoji. We don't care.
Yeah.
We just want one email. One. And then I'll stop adding this to the end of every show. But anyway.
But until then,
thanks for listening. And yeah, see you soon.